Hi everyone, it's Georgia down here in Australia, and today I am going to do a bit of a mirror image again kind of project. Now, a couple of weeks ago I worked on this page here, which is the first half of John chapter 6. Now, it was a really difficult page for me to do, and it took ages for me to actually get started. There's a story, there's always a story, and I don't know if I can go into the story today, so we'll just leave it at that. But I just did a really simple page. I actually had things in my head that I wanted to do. I had this, great plan, and sort of, when you have that pictures flashing through your mind, it's like, oh, I wish I could take a photo of inside my head because that's what I want to do on this page. But I couldn't do it. Again, there's a story. So I ended up doing a much simpler page than what I had planned, because I decided that this page was not about the artwork, was never supposed to be about the artwork anyway, but this page especially was not going to be about the artwork because I had things to journal, and hence the lace, because there is super duper secret journaling going on down the margin of my page here. Now, I did the secret journaling and got to the bottom of the page and I still have more to say. Oh, which is so just typical Georgia. So what do you do when you've run out of space? I don't want to write over the words. The fact that I put this little ephemera cluster is already, it's not bothering me, but it's already like, oh, that was badly placed, because I actually wanted this page to remain one of those pages where I can still see the words. But that's okay. I mean, I know the words. I wanted this page to be one of those pages that I can still read the words. Not because I come back and read this is not my reading Bible, but because this is such an important chapter that I want the words to all still be there. So I'm not going to do one of the things that I do sometimes, and that is to, write my own journaling on top of the actual scripture. And I'm not going to put a tip in or anything that's going to cover the page anymore. So I thought, okay, well, what I'll do, because chapter 6 actually continues over the page, yay, I'm going to do a bit of a mirror image page here, and then I'll have all this space to continue my little conversation. Okay, so let's get started, because George is just talking too much today. And I'm drinking chamomile tea on the side, so imagine if I was caffeinated, my goodness. All right, so I'm starting off by doing, as you can see, this is sort of like golden brown inked edging around the page. And I've done that with Wild Honey Distress ink. So all I'm doing really is just inking around my page. Whoops, and I slipped there and made this big blob, but that's okay, because I'm actually going to splotch ink over the page, so it really doesn't matter that I've got this little accident thing going on. This is a really difficult part of the book because there's some very dimensional stuff a few pages further in. Yeah, so because of that, I've sort of got this lumpy bumpy, and I've put this map down to sort of catch the ink dabber as I come off the page. But and it's kind of getting towards the end of the Bible, so there is not as much of the book here, so I've put some inks underneath to sort of try and level it out. But it's kind of I don't know, it's a little bit of a difficult spot, so I'm not having a very great time, but that's okay, not to worry. Maybe if I concentrate as well. So I'm keeping it mainly around the edges. It's almost like a bit of a frame that I'm creating with the golden ink. I really want to try and get it down into the spine here, so I don't have this big white line. And I have not prepped this page, which I know is kind of disastrous because, well, I can't show you the back of that because I've got this lace sort of clipped to the page, but the ink has bled through massively because of the fact that I've used a very wet technique. So I know the same thing's going to happen here, but that's okay, because as you all know, I very often use acrylic paint on my pages. So I'll just have to make sure that whatever I end up doing on the other side of this page, and this one here as well. I will have to do something that involves a lot of color, layers, something. I'm going to grab my heat gun and give that a bit of a blast just to help set it, because I don't want this reacting too much when I go splotching the blue inks over it. Now I'm going to do a little bit of stamping, and this page, though it looks fairly simple, it has a lot of secret journaling, not just in, you know, the actual writing, the words that I've written in the margin, but this is one of those pages that I do that has secret journaling in sort of different forms, not just in the writing. So secret journaling part 1. I have this stamp set from Ciao Bella, and it is from the Sign of the Times collection, and this one is called Chemical Reaction, and I am using this little molecule stamp. She's so technical, and I'm going to use it to do some little bits and pieces of stamping around the page. Again, there is a secret thing going on here. Some of you will get it, some of you won't, but it's okay. I'm using the same ink as I did for this sort of border background frame thing. And I'm not using the entire thing. I don't want it to be so obvious, but I'm just using little bits and pieces here and there. And by the time I'm done, you will barely see it anyway, but it's there, and I know it's there. And that's enough for me. She says she does some more. Sometimes I can't help myself. Okay, and I'm going to heat blast that as well to make sure it sets. Okay, so now I am going to do some ink smooching. Now I'm grabbing this plastic sheet to give myself a harder surface because of the dimensionally stuff, but I am also going to slip a piece of paper under here so that the ink doesn't go over the edge onto other pages. And I'm going to just drag my ink pad. I'm using Salty Ocean here. Just dab my ink pad here a little bit, give it a bit of a spray, and then when it's nice and wet, I'm just going to very quickly just dab my mat onto the page here and there randomly. It is reacting with the wild honey colour, but that's okay, I don't mind that. Quickly give that a dry. Okay, once that's dry, I'm going to do a little bit more. Oh, I know why I had such a bad time. I did it on the wrong side. This mat has a really slippery, slidey, shiny side and a kind of a more like a sticky side, which is the part that you would stick onto the surface that you're working on. This is actually the little mat that comes with my Tim Holtz glass mat, so you sort of put it on the side and use it like a normal person. I'm sort of using it back to front rather than putting the ink on the mat and then dabbing my paper on top. I'm taking the mat and dabbing that onto the page, but it's kind of easier to do it that way when you have a Bible, because it's very difficult to putting your Bible upside down and dabbing it onto a surface. If that made any sense. This might be a little bit better. Okay, and just whoop. Here we go, adding some bits. I'll just keep doing this here and there around the page until I'm happy with the amount of blue that I have on the page. I have let this layer dry really well. Now the next thing I'm going to do is add the dark blue. I'm using Blueprint Sketch from Distress Ink because it's a nice solid blue. And the first thing I'm going to do is just dab a little bit straight off the ink pad onto the top of the page there. And then with my spray bottle, I'm just holding my Bible up at an angle and just spraying a bit of water over the top of that blue and just letting it drip down the page. Dabbing some of it off there because I did not like where it was going. So just adding a little bit more here and there. Now, while it's nice and wet, it's a really good way to do it. And just letting that drip down the page. And if it starts to go in a direction I don't like, I just sort of redirect it or dab it a little bit. Okay. And I might do that a little bit down the center of the page as well. So just dabbing the ink straight onto my page and then wetting it and letting it drip down. And I'm just going to grab something to keep my Bible up on an angle and then kind of do the same sort of thing as I did for the lighter blue, putting a bit of ink onto my mat, giving that a spray, but then rather than dabbing it on, I'm actually going to just let it, whoops, slide and drip over the page. Kind of experimenting as I go here. It's not exactly what I did on this page, but playing around with it and then dabbing some of it onto the page. So giving it a little bit of a helping hand to drip down the page. Okay. Right, and I think that is going to do it for me, she says as she adds just a few little bits more. Oh, I know. Sometimes I just get a little bit carried away. Just little bits here and there. Okay, now that's enough. Now that the page is dry, I'm not quite sure what I want to do in terms of this little embellishment cluster. I don't want to do an exact mirror image, or I don't want to use the same embellishments. But I do want something here, I think, because then it would kind of, yeah, I think so. So I've pulled out my, I'm not even going to tell you what this is, because once again, this is part of the secret journaling. I'm cutting a piece that does not have the flower on it this time, because I've got the flower here. I don't want two flowers. So I'm going to, every time I cut a piece of this, I kind of feel like I'm just doing something really bad. Oh dear, there's a story. There's always a story. So I'm just cutting this little bit off here. Just do it there. It's done. No going back. All right, and I'm sort of scrunching it up a little bit. You could use a bit of lace for this. You could use some ribbon. Anything you like. You could use, some soft paper. Or you could do nothing at all. Okay, so I've got this little sort of scrunched up bit here, and I'm going to grab my little stapler, or my Tim Holtz tiny attacher to use the correct word. Just put a staple through it there. And I am going to just glue it down. And I'm not really worried about what I'm covering here, because the end of chapter 6 actually ends here. Okay, so I've pulled out a bunch of my die cuts, including the set that these have come from, which is a Stamperia collection. I will put the name of that collection in the description below. And I've pulled a few little bits out. So this is from that same collection: the cross, the candle, the Bible, a little bit of foliage, another candle. I've just got a few little cardboard die cuts, and I'm just not quite sure what it is that I want to do. There are things clicking through my head as we speak, and again, this is part of the secret journaling, and it's kind of, there's something forming in my head here, and I'm kind of, yeah, the thing that's going through my head, okay, this is for you, Lydia, because Lydia always likes to know, what went through your head. This sounds so completely wrong. It's not the way, I know that's not the way you mean it when you say, I like to know what's going on in your head. I'd like to know what's going on in my head most of the time. But yeah, Lydia likes to know my thought processes. That sounds a little bit more professional. Lydia likes to know my thought processes. So for you, Lydia, my thought process is I'm sort of bringing the two pages together, and my mind's sort of going off in another direction, and I am sort of thinking of that line at the end of Matthew's Gospel, I am with you always, and I'm sort of bringing all these together. And some of you will get it, some of you won't, and it's okay. If you don't see where I'm going with this, that's fine. If you see where I'm going, you go, I get it, girl, that's great too. And you know, it's okay, something. It's something, I don't know. So I'm sort of, I don't know if I want that. I don't want the candles, I've decided. I kind of, yeah, it's hard. It's hard deciding what you want to do. It's hard being me. So I'm playing around with them a little bit, just trying to find a nice way to, I don't know. What if we cut that off? I don't like the arrow bit on this for starters. And what if I ink around the edge? If I ink around the edge of this, a little bit over it as well. That kind of, yeah, sits in a little bit better with the page. Just put a little bit of the colours that I've used on the page background onto this little, remember this die cut, whoops, and that kind of makes it sit a little bit better. And I want something underneath. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Oh yes, okay. Yeah, see now my secret journaling is really yeah, see, something's just come to mind now that I'm not sharing. But that sort of has suddenly given this a little bit of, no, that has given this a whole lot more meaning than what it had even a minute ago. Okay, exactly. This is exactly what I want to do. This is, here we go. All right. There's sometimes just playing with it until you find the best spot, and sometimes just playing with it and just moving things around, you suddenly see something or realize something or have a thought. It's quite surprising that this happened during the filming of a video, because, you know, I'm not really in the best state of mind to be going down that secret journaling path while I'm chatting away, which is probably why I'm not making much sense, because I'm not really giving you my full attention. I'm very sorry. But yeah, it's that other line of mine. There's stuff going on. There's stuff going on in my brain as I'm sort of putting this together. So I'm only giving a little bit of attention, maybe 45% to the making of this video, and 55% is elsewhere. Okay, so I'm just going to put something a little bit heavy over these and give the glue time to stick, because of the fact that I've got this tulle veil sort of fabric. It's going to take a little bit longer than usual for the glue to dry. So if I put this over it, just to hold it down nice and flat, and then I'm going to put something kind of heavy, here we go, crash, over the top, and I'm just going to give that some time to dry. Okay, and done. So my John chapter 6 mirror image page, I have a whole lot of secret journaling down the margin space here, and now I can continue and finish off what I have to say, and do the rest of my secret journaling down this margin. So I've kept it pretty simple, because this is about the journaling more than anything, and I wanted the words to be able to be read, so I've kept it translucent by using just distress inks in this manner. And there is actually just one other thing I want to do. The last thing I want to do actually is just highlight around some of the lines on this page. I mean, I really could have just done a great big square around the whole thing, asterisk. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm done. Now I'm finished. Almost. Well, you know, I don't share the secret journaling, so I'll go away now and finish off my secret journaling. But this is my John chapter 6 page, and hopefully, because I haven't tested this, hopefully it will close without too much problem, because I've got these Stamperia die cuts are very thick cardboard. So hopefully, okay, here we go. Oh, you know, it's just It's starting to look like a Georgia Bible now. I'm having to being so full and chunky that I have to tie it up with ribbon to keep it closed, and I like that. And just one other thing, I did warn you about the bleed through, so there you go. There is massive bleed through doing this sort of thing, but again, that's okay because I will work with that when I come to decorating this page. All right, okay, so that's it. I'm done now, truly. All my social links are down below. Come on over and say hi. If you're not in my Facebook group, God's Refrigerator, please come over. You're very welcome. Knock on the door, answer the secret question. Can't stress that enough. If you don't answer the question, we can't let you in. Okay, now I am truly done. Okay, I'm done. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.